After nearly 11 weeks, retrograde Mars finally stations direct on Thursday, January 12th at 8 degrees Gemini. Have you learned the lessons of this retrograde? Are you ready for a break? We're gonna get 2 more months of Mars in Gemini to apply all the things we've learned and kind of sort through them. Let's take a closer look and discuss what this means for your rising sign. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe, leave me a like or a comment. I really appreciate that. And if you'd like to work with me, check out the links down below. I am currently doing personal horoscopes for 2023, breaking the year down for you, talking about what's in store. And there's 2 options. You can get $23 off the regular live in-person reading and get your reading for $172, or you can get a recorded reading for $149. Links down there. In order to get the live one at a discounted price, you need to use the coupon code 2023. But like I said, everything down below. So Mars has been retrograde, right? Like Mars is the planet of action. Mars is the planet of initiative and drive and physical energy. So if you have been feeling, this retrograde started on October 30th. If you have been feeling a lack of energy, a lack of motivation and inspiration, raise your hand. I've definitely felt some kind of like, a sense of like what's next, right? Like the lack of clarity. So Mars has been in Gemini, so we could have been questioning our intellectual pursuits. We could have been second guessing our ideas and our beliefs, right? Our philosophies could have potentially, like they needed another look. What's interesting is right now, Mercury is also retrograde until January 18th. So even though Mars stations direct on the 12th, we're not quite out of the woods yet, right? There's still things that we are addressing and rewriting and redoing. So Mars stations direct on January 12th at 8 degrees Gemini. We are still going to be in the shadow phase. Shadow phase means that Mars is going over the same degrees that he has already gone over twice, first direct and retrograde. So shadow phase will last until March 15th, when Mars reaches 25 degrees 37 minutes of Gemini. And the shadow phase allows us to implement the lessons we have learned, allows us to integrate all of the things that we have experienced and, you know, kind of assert ourselves. Say, this is me, I came out of my shell, this is what I want to do now. So the last 11 weeks, I mean, for me personally, I have definitely, like I mentioned, felt the lack of energy. I had to, a very physical, you know, like the manifestation of Mars retrograde for many of us could have been needing to tend to your physical body. And a lot of people got sick. A lot of people dealt with like different ailments. I had to go to physical therapy, which is something I haven't done in a really long time. But to me, like physical therapy feels so much like Mars retrograde, right? Like you're not feeling so good. As a soldier, go like lay down, we're gonna treat you. So you need to take a break, you need to rethink your physical activity. So I'm curious if any of you have experienced that, or if any of you had to like look at your physical body and kind of treat it differently or give it some love. Could have been a period of like, you know, feeling more stuck, dependent on where Mars was in your chart or still is in your chart. I am going to list, you know, I'm going to talk about all 12 signs. Could have been the time where old issues were brought up for another round. Part of human nature, right, is like you grow, you move, you heal, but then once in a while you get kicked back. You have to redo, you have to look at the same lessons, you have to deal with anger that you haven't been addressing. Even today I had a reading with a client and we were talking, and she's born with Mars retrograde, And we were talking about anger and whether she allows herself to feel angry. And she said she does, but every time she gets in a fight or she expresses frustration, she gets angry with herself at the same time. She gets angry for being angry, right? So what is that doing? Who is that helping? So perhaps over the course of the last 11 weeks, you had a chance to address frustration, address breakdowns, both physical and mental, and perhaps implement new ways of dealing with stress. And if you haven't, maybe now is the time. When Mars goes direct, this could be the time. Another personal example, this is turning into like a lot of personal examples video. But another personal example for me has been realizing that I don't have like the best structure in my work, right? So needing to rearrange some things, needing to rethink some things. And hopefully when Mars goes direct, there might be more of a clarity and more like streamlined workflow for me. So yeah, you know, some of the things, as I mentioned, just like dealing with your physical body, dealing with your health, dealing with motivation, figuring out what's the best approach to reaching your goals, asking what are the goals that you even have, dealing with certain communication difficulties. It is Mars retrograde, but it's Mars in Gemini. So you could have dealt with communication breakdowns and, like I said, rehashing the old issues. So this especially affects people with strong mutable placements. So if you have any planets or angles like your ascendant, descendant, midheaven IC in mutable signs, which are Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, especially between 8 and 25 degrees, this could have been affecting you a lot more. And perhaps you had to deal with anger a lot more than the people around you who don't have any mutable placements in their chart. So where could you see improvement, right? Now that Mars is going direct, let's take it through 12 signs and see the topics that you can expect to see resolution in. For Aries rising, Mars goes direct in the 3rd house. So if you dealt with any issues around your schedule, if you felt overwhelmed with things just being thrown at you, there not being a clear structure, maybe just feeling like overloaded with things, this could be the period starting January 12th when things clear, when you feel like you are getting heard, when you feel like your schedule maybe is improving. And it's of course up to you, right? It's up to you to make the changes. So if things have been frustrating and there's been a lot of miscommunications, a lot of scheduling issues, maybe you need to change what you're doing, right? Like maybe it's time for you to redo or redefine how you do work, or even go for another type of work, right? Like, are you able to use your time to the best, in the best way possible? And if not, what needs to change? If there have been any difficulties with your sibling neighbor relationship, like, you know, maybe they owe you money, they're not paying you back, or they're just demanding too much of your time and not reciprocating your requests, this might be the time when that dynamic starts to change as well. For Taurus rising, the retrograde would have been affecting 2nd house. So here we're dealing with money and values. And you could have run into some kind of financial issue. Maybe you had to spend on something you didn't expect you needed to spend on. Maybe you dealt with certain debts, or, you know, the lack of payment from a client, for example. And like there could have been a need to be more flexible surrounding finances. You could have dealt with some kind of issues connected to money. Let's say if you are in a relationship and maybe you want to go on vacation and you're saving money, but your partner is not saving money. There could have been topics of values and money together, right? Like, are you on the same page with your partner? Are you on the same page with your boss? And if you don't feel valued, if you don't feel like there is understanding, then it might be more about how can you bring more understanding? How can you get on the same page? and how can you find more value in your relationships. If you are a Gemini rising, Mars would have been retrograde in your first house, which is not easy. A lot of Gemini risings, I think, have had to deal with health issues, because first house is your physical body. So you could have literally experienced a physical breakdown or a need to go to the doctor and kind of maybe even redo certain tests, right? Like get a surgery that you have gotten before, or maybe restart working out, sort of look at your physical well-being and see how are you a friend to your body, or can you be a better friend to your body? There could have been a lot of pressures around finding your independence, maybe a lot of issues you had to handle on your own, kind of situations that require you to step up and be this Mars retrograde, be this strong warrior, right, with a lot of resolve and power. So as Mars goes direct, hopefully you get to understand what's worth fighting for and what's not worth fighting for. Hopefully you start to implement healthy habits, take better care of yourself, and choose commitments better, right? Like choose relationships better, choose partnerships better, and choose you first and foremost. For Cancer rising, Mars would have been retrograding in the 12th house, and for you it could have been a period of isolation since October 30th, maybe spending more time solo, maybe examining your self-defeating tendencies. And that could be a lot of different things, right? Like this could be talking to yourself negatively, or it could be drinking a bit too much, or smoking a bit too much, or smoking, period, right? So with Mars being retrograde in your 12th, there could have been those bad habits, but also certain like past relationships coming back up in your memory, or coming back for another round if you had an ex reach out, for example. Maybe you've had dreams that kind of carried certain messages. So as Mars stations direct, there is likely to be more awareness and understanding of how you are being self-defeating and how you can improve your life in order to have a better flow and have a better alignment with yourself. And, if there are 12th house also deals with foreign lands and kind of healing and spirituality. So if you felt like you've wanted to move away, or you wanted to become a healer, you can also see more opportunities related to that once Mars goes direct, more like clarity in terms of what you can do. For Leo rising, Mars goes direct in the 11th house. And if you are a Leo rising and you face certain difficulties surrounding friendships or group projects, like if you have a network that you are a part of and you needed a specific contact and you were struggling to find that contact, or you've been told, no, not yet, I don't know, a lot of times, when Mars goes direct, those questions should resolve and there might be more forward momentum. So if you do need a contact, let's say you're looking for a job and you need like the right connection, this could be the time. And if there has been any difficulties with your friends, maybe a sense that your friendships no longer align with who you are, you may also get more opportunities to meet new people and align yourself with new people. 11th house also deals with social media. So if there were any difficulties presenting your projects on social media, kind of asserting yourself there might also be more opportunities, and even literally like you can see your old posts get more attention potentially. For Virgo rising, Mars goes direct in the 10th house. So if you're a Virgo rising, chances are the last 11 weeks could have brought a ton of professional discord, disarray, confusion, uncertainty, people acting weird, maybe you feeling uninspired and like uncertain about what you want to be doing, maybe like looking back and questioning your progress or questioning your professional pursuits. And with Mars going direct, there may be more clarity when it comes to your career. something, you know, if you worked on some project and it had to be delayed or redone or blocked, you may see forward momentum there as well. And if there has been any issues with bosses or colleagues, people you work with, it is also quite likely that they will start to resolve, or you will see, you will kind of know how to handle them better. And if, you know, if this last period has been really frustrating and made you realize that you're not quite happy with what you're doing, maybe this is your opportunity to release what you do and start to look for a different job. For Libra rising, Mars has been retrograde in the 9th house, and Mars retrograde in the 9th house could have brought up philosophical issues, questions of faith, questions of belonging, questions of what is it that you're working towards, what is it that you're driving and motivating force. You may have dealt with confusion surrounding travel, education, legal matters, publishing, and now with Mars stationing direct on the 12th, those matters should kind of clear up. As a Libra rising, I'm hoping to go on a trip in the middle of 2023, and I sort of have been it has been up in the air. You know, I haven't booked anything, in part because it's the retrograde, in part because there's been other things. You may experience more clarity when it comes to your schedule, when it comes to your education, when it comes to your everyday life, because 9th looks at the 3rd house, right? So topics of the 3rd house could be highlighted as well. And just like an overall spring, right? When you start to believe in yourself, when you start to feel more inspired and have more of a sense of a clear direction. For Scorpio rising, Mars stations direct in the 8th house. This is a big deal. You are ruled by Mars, so your chart ruler going direct should help bring more energy and more forward momentum into your life. With Mars being retrograde in the 8th house, it is likely that some of your give and take dynamics have been questionable, right? This could be your dynamic with your boss, maybe they expect you to work extra hours. Maybe it's connected to your partner and they expect you to take care of your child while you have more of a desire for it to be 50-50. Maybe you're in a relationship and your partner is happy with meeting you once a week, but you want more. So there's been potentially a lot of kind of confusion around fairness and sharing things, sharing your time with other people. So with Mars going direct, you are likely to gather clarity, to gain more clarity, to have more understanding of how to structure your life and your relationships. If there has been any financial difficulties, any conflicts related to money and values with your partner, there might also be an opportunity to clear the air and have more honest conversations. And even if your partner, let's say your partner has been struggling financially, Mars going direct will likely bring good luck to them or more luck to them. For Sagittarius rising, Mars has been retrograde in the 7th house. You may have found yourself rehashing old issues, having conflicts that you thought you've already finished, looking back at something from the past with your partner and kind of handling and reassessing all of that. Also just questioning, you know, how you deal with conflict, how you deal with frustration in relationships. And hopefully now that Mars goes direct, you can see more understanding, right? Perhaps you've had to dealt with conflicts from the past, but now you have a new and improved strategy for dealing with them if they come up again. If your partner has been going through some kind of difficulty and struggling in their personal life, Mars going direct could also be a blessing for them and perhaps bring more clarity into their life. So good vibes for relationships. And let me know if you're a Sag rising, how has, the last... Mars entered Gemini on August 20th, I believe. So September, October, November, December, and almost January. So like, how has the last 5 months been for your relationships? I know some Sag risings who got engaged, so it's not necessarily all difficult. If you are a Capricorn rising, Mars stations direct in your 6th house. So for Capricorn risings, Mars would have been retrograding in your sector of daily work, health, service, commitments. So you may have dealt with health issues coming up, like there could have been a need to address how you handle things, you know, how much energy you give to yourself and how you take care of yourself. And as Mars goes direct, perhaps you have a better grasp on your time management and your commitments, and maybe there are certain things that you're letting go in order to once again welcome better health. There may be, if there has been any professional frustration and misunderstandings, this could also be an opportunity to clear the air and get past the conflicts in the workspace. And even if you've been looking for work, maybe this is an opportunity for you to get a new job or get more clarity about the work that you're doing. But ultimately, it is about how you spend your time. It is about how much you care for yourself, and it is about better health. So if those topics have been significant in the last 11 weeks or even 5 months, Mars going direct will allow you to approach them differently with a better flow, better kind of like more smooth energy. For Aqua rising, Mars has been retrograde in the 5th house. So if you have dealt with any issues and questions surrounding your kids, surrounding your childhood, Mars retrograde in the 5th could have made you kind of look back at your childhood and revisit some of the pain from the past, right? Like kind of nurture and heal your inner child. If you felt uninspired, if you felt uncertain how to live life with more fun, this could be, Mars going direct could be your chance to get unstuck, right? Like it will be fresh energy, new directive, maybe new opportunities and new way of looking at the old problems perhaps, right? Like maybe you felt uninspired and you realized throughout the retrograde that you want to go back to dancing because it's something that made you happy when you were small. And now that Mars goes direct, you make an appointment and you start to dance every week. So this could be a more fun time for sure, even more passionate time, because Mars being retrograde in the house of sex is not necessarily so great for the sex. Sometimes, you know, it might have lowered your libido and sort of made things more complicated. So Mars going direct should be encouraging and hopeful for all kinds of fun. Finally, for Pisces rising, Mars goes direct in the 4th house. So if you have dealt with any issues in the home or problems around the home, right? Like maybe things breaking down, right? Like maybe your kitchen sink leaking or any other type of problems. This could be the time when things finally start to get better. Like if you've had an issue, you hire a plumber and they come in and they fix your kitchen sink. If there's been any problems your family members have been going through, any uncertainty surrounding your place of living or your sense of comfort and security, there might be more clarity when it comes to that. There might be an opportunity to fix things, right? Like either whether you're doing a home improvement project or you're fixing a relationship with your family, or you're just figuring out what makes you more secure. And this could spread out in a lot of different ways, right? Like this could be about home, or it could be about the career you want to pursue, or it could be about a relationship, or maybe even about getting a pet, because maybe that's what makes you feel happy and secure. So exciting. Almost done with the retrogrades. On January 18th, Mercury will also station direct, and we will be out of the woods for a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.